Hello everyone, in this tutorial today we're going to go over a flashlight. It's going to be a bit more in depth than just a flashlight you turn on and off. We're going to go through creating a child actor, finding a mesh, setting the flashlight up, using IES to give it, instead of just a circle, it's going to have some texture on it, how to equip and de-equip, and then we're going to go over the battery power, refilling it, having it run out, having it flickering before it runs out, and things like that. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is in the content drawer. If you've been following my previous tutorials, I have a folder of my horror stuff. We're going to start by creating an input first of all. We're going to right click and it's going to be input and input action. I'm going to call this AI flashlight. In here, it could be a digital bool, which will be on or off. And then we can add that to our input asset map, input mapping context. So open here, add IA underscore flashlight. I'm going to assign that a key. I'm going to assign that to the F key as usual. Then in my horror tutorial folder, I'm going to create a new folder and call it flashlight. I'm going to go in, right click, blueprint, actor, BP underscore flashlight, and then we can open this. Right, so now we're in here. The first thing we need is a mesh. So what I've done is I found one online that I will post in the below. It's just a simple flashlight. You can go on Sketchfab and download it. If you want to use it in your project, you have to make sure that you will credit this guy, Brandon Baldwin. So download that and extract the RAR file. I'm going to import, and for me, it's in the source file. That's where the FBX is. We import. Now this file, by default, the uniform scale will be 1, and the flashlight is a bit too big. So for this model, set it to 0.5. So now we have the flashlight. There's no textures because the textures came in a different folder and I haven't imported them with this, but this is fine. You can import the textures later on. What we can do is convert this. We click on this, the parameter here, the default value, and just set to black and then apply. So what we want to do here is add the static mesh. We can call this flashlight mesh, and we can give that the flashlight here. So now we have a blueprint with a flashlight. So to give it some light, we can add, and then we can scroll down, or you can type light, and we want a spotlight. So I think the flashlight is actually at the wrong orientation. So what we can do is if we just add an arrow, yeah, it is. So we can click on it and press E, or click up here and just rotate this by 90. Right, so now it's the right way. So what we do is just move the spotlight forward to around like that. So the light is actually coming out of the spotlight. Just make sure this is set to minus 90. There we go. Okay, so now we have a very, like, the flashlight set basic. So the next thing we're going to create is the interface, which will allow us to easily communicate to the flashlight from the player. So I'm just going to right click here and go to blueprint and then blueprint interface, BPI flashlight. So in here, we're going to create a couple of functions. we're going to create a turn on and then turn off, and then we can do a change batteries on like that. Do we need any other? No. Okay. So now we have that, we can go to class settings and go to implemented interfaces and actually add it. BPI underscore flashlight. So let's add it to the player and give it a try. So you go to your player. So for me, it's this horror tutorial first person character from the previous tutorial. We're going to add a child actor. So this allows you to have an actor within an actor, basically. I'm going to add this to the first person camera, so it follows along the camera. We can click on child actor and then click the drop down, search for BP underscore flashlight. So now we have it here. So by default, this will have collision. So we go into the flashlight mesh here, search for collision, and we want no collision. Just for now. If I move this like here, or maybe, let's have a look. It might be a bit big, but if we try it, so right to the middle, so we can move it more like here. This. There we go. So currently it's following the, so you can see it turned on because of this. Currently following the camera's movement. But what we can do to make it a bit different is we can add another spring arm, make the child actor attach the spring arm, and then put the spring arm on the camera like this. And then the target arm length we set to 0. So we're back here now, we're back to normal. But we can then, if we add a camera lag, we check. So now the flashlight is sort of, we don't want it like that. Maybe rotation, let's see. We add a rotation lag. So yeah, so when we turn, yeah, the flashlight has a bit of a delay to it. When we might walk around, there's a bit of a slight delay. So if we try 12 here, let's see. There we go. So we can sort of have like the bit of a floaty flashlight. Just adds a little bit more effect, I find. Instead of it being really solid and staticky, we can do something like that. Okay. So the next part is going to be communicating with the flashlight, turn it on, off, and things like that. The way we do this is we go to the flashlight here, and we're going to actually set up the logic here first for the pressing the button to turn it on and off. So by default, the flashlight is turned on, which we don't want. So on the spotlight here, we can do either visibility or intensity. If we say the intensity by default is 0, if we try it now, it's not on at all. Like there's no light at all. And then if we put that up, the light will come on. So what we can do is turn on and turn off like this. We can also probably make a Boolean here. We can call it is flashlight on ? So we can grab the spotlight and do set intensity, this one, and say we do 8,000 to turn off, we set to 0. Oh, we need to connect Spotlight in like that. And then in the first person character, in the event graph, what we can do now is we can call our IA underscore flashlight. And what we can do is we can say on triggered, we grab the child actor, we pull out and say get child actor. So we can actually now communicate with the whatever is stored in the child actor. We can do flashlight on like this. And instead of doing this, like turning it off, we can actually, let's just rename this here in the interface. We'll remove turn off and we'll rename this toggle flashlight. Like that. There we go, toggle flashlight. That's easier. And then we can do a branch here and say, is flashlight on? If it's not on, we turn it on. If it is on, then we will turn it off. Like this. And then connect that up there. So on started, because we just want it running once, we will toggle the flashlight. So let's try that out. So if I press F, we turn it on. And if I press F again, we don't. Because what we have to do now is when we turn the flashlight on, we need to set flashlight is on. When we turn it off, we need to turn it off like this. Now if I try it, so if I press F on, F off. There we go. So now we've got the very basic flashlight turning on and off. The next part will be using the IES, which is, it's basically a texture you can put onto the flashlight. So because flashlights are not like this, they're not pure light, they actually have different textures to them. So if you go on the Fab Marketplace, there's actually this package. It's permanently free. You can use this, and so if you look here, see how the lights have these textures to them. So what you can do is you can go on the Fab Market. This will be linked in the bottom as well. And you can download this and bring it into your project. And I'll show you how to do this now. So I can click download here. And it wants me to open the Epic Launcher. So let's do that. So Epic Launcher, in the Fab library, we want IES. And we have this one, IES light profile. Click add. Find your project. So horror tutorial for me, and add to project. So that's done. So we go to the project now, and you should see in your content drawer, there is a light profile pack, and back in the flashlight. So now on the spotlight here, if you check the details, you have this light function material. And we can go in here and we can find, if we open the light profile, lighting, functions, then I think it's the bitmaps, no? Oh, here it is, the profiles. So we can see here the different types. So if I add LED beam 2, so I can come here and type LED. No, it's not showing up. Oh, sorry. It's here, IES texture. There we go, now we see it. So let's try LED beam 2. So if I compile now and check, and I will actually move this point light over here and maybe dim it a bit so we can get a better look. So let's make that 4 or maybe 2. There we go. So now if we press, so now we're not, it's now we have like a bigger thing in the middle and it goes out. Hard to explain really. If I lower the intensity maybe to 5,000 and then check, let's see, there we go, it's a bit dark. So that one's hard to see. If we do narrow 1000, let's try this. There we go. So you can see that the flashlight now has a different, it has a material on it, which is more realistic. There is a website, if I can find it. I'll post this as well. It's the Flashlight IES library. And basically, you can browse through, depending what flashlight you have. And it will show the actual like beam style. If you in real life, if you want to build a flashlight that's based on a real life flashlight, then this is what you would look at. So for example, this one here, you can actually download the IES and use it. Obviously, some of these have prices. So, well, this one is for free, luckily. So you can download them for free. If I do this, let's try this one. And I download IES. So it downloaded. So if I come to my Unreal now, I just horror tutorial, flashlight, and import desktop, and then this one, this IES, I can import it, and then there we have it. I can call it downloaded IES, or IES. Got Spotlight, same again. Where's it gone? Is it hidden itself, or am I looking? Where am I looking? Yes, there we go. So I can type downloaded IES, and then now we have this one. You can't really tell, it's got a bit of an effect to it, but this is based on a real life flashlight. So that's how to use those. So you've got the free one you can download from the marketplace, or you have that package. You have the website that I'll link that has a lot in there. These can be used for normal light in the world as well. So like there's this one, for example. So say this light here, this has an IES as well. So I can add like arrows, star, and you can see it affecting the world. So this just adds a bit more detail, because most flashlight tutorials I've seen will just use the default flashlight, which does not look realistic personally to me. So there's that. The next part is equipping and unequipping the flashlight. So if you don't want it by default, for example, to have the flashlight, what we can do is, instead of assigning the child actor here like this, we can clear that. And if we try now, let's just make sure if I press F, nothing happens. We don't get any errors because we don't have the flashlight. So what we're going to do is we will do a keyboard input for this. So number 2. And what we can do is we can grab the child actor and say set child actor class. And then when we press number 2, we want to set that to BP_flashlight. And then we're going to print string, and we're going to say flashlight grabbed. This is just to show like this. So if I press 2, flashlight grabbed, and now we have this. So as you saw, we don't have anything equipped in our hands now. As we add the child actor in, then the flashlight appears. What you would do for, say, animations is you could have an animation where the flashlight is down at the side, and then when you run this, you could play an animation of lifting the hand up, and then it would work like that. I'm not going to do that here because I don't have animations ready to go. De-equipping would be, so if we on 2, we equip it. If we do keyboard 3, we would get the child actor, and we could set child child actor class, and we could just set it to nothing. If we look now, we have the flashlight. We don't have the flashlight. And it works with, if the flashlight is turned on and we get rid of it, then it will still work. So that's how to equip it and unequip it. The way you would then do it if you wanted to have like an inventory is, if you have an inventory set up, that I will go over inventory in another video. But for now, what we can do is we can just do a variable, which would be has flashlight. So for example, we could do number 2, we could get that and do a branch and say, if we have the flashlight, then we want to show it. But if we don't have the flashlight, then we just want to say like print string, no flashlight. So now if I press it, no flashlight. But then I do keyboard 5. We set has flashlight in this. So now now we have the flashlight. I press the button and now it works. This is one way of doing it. The other way would be like I say, if you have an inventory system, you would query the inventory to see if you have the flashlight. Next part is the battery power. So for that, we're going to do all the logic in the flashlight itself. This is going to hold the information for this. The only thing we're going to store on the player is the actual battery level. So what we can do is on the variable, we can do I'll do an integer. So we're going to host that here for now because we want to always be able to have the flashlight power on hand for when we're swapping this around and things. So in the flashlight, what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, we want to make a function which will be drain battery power. So we need a variable for that, which will be current battery power. And that can be an integer as well. So on drain battery power, what we want to do is we want to do a timer by, no, we don't want to do that. We want to get the current battery power. We're just going to minus, and then this will be here, the drain amount. So this will be how much battery each time this event runs you want to minus. So just for now, we will set this to default value of 1. The current battery power will do 100 because this is the starting battery power. And then we can also add a max battery power. The reason I'm using a max battery power is, say if in your game you want to make like a roguelite horror game, that you can get an upgrade to increase the battery power. We can increase this max battery power and then everything else will still work. So now what we do is we minus the current battery power by the drain amount, and we set the current battery power to this. But first, we want to pull down from current battery power and do clamp. And this will make it so that we can't go below a certain amount of values. So we don't want to go below 0, and the max is going to be the max power. And I'm going to do a print string here just to show the current power because we don't have a UI set up yet. The print string key I'm going to use as number 1, just so when it prints, it just keeps overlapping the same value instead of constantly filling the screen up. And I'm going to add a return. We can open our other interface. I think I should have one for the player. Do I have one for the player set up yet? No. So let's add that. We need an interface on the player just so we can communicate with the player easier. I'm going to call that BPI underscore player. I'm going to add the implement, BPI player, this. And I'm going to make a function in here that is going to be called update battery power. Now, the reason I'm doing this is so instead of having all the objects hold the power, so if we were going to make a save game, which we will do at some point, I'd rather have everything stored in one spot for now, which will be the player, just so I can move it over to a save file easier. That's just my personal thing. Update battery power, we're going to add a integer onto here, and we're going to call this current battery power. Now we have that in the flashlight. What we can do is we can call get owner, because this is actually a child actor. I think that's the right one, get owner. Yeah. And we can call the event we just add update battery power like this. And we can feed in the current battery power just so we can have one spot where everything comes to. So now we have this drain battery power. But how do we actually use it? So when the flashlight turns on, we basically want to set timer by and then function name. So previously I've used timer by event, but I'm going to use the function name. So for this, we have the function we just created, which is drain battery power. Now there's two ways of doing this. We can either just press F2 and copy here and place in here. Or if you want it a bit to reuse this, but you want to change this function name for different things, you can do a make literal string like this, and then you can put it in here, or you could then, instead of doing that, you could just promote this and then call compile and then add it in here like this, drain battery power. We want it to loop, and we also want to promote this to a variable, and we're going to call this battery drain event like this. The timer will be the battery drain timer, so I'm going to promote this to a variable. I'm going to call this battery drain time, like that. Let's say every what would be a good time? Every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, we're going to drain the battery. So we could probably try this now. Let's see if it works. So we quit the battery, the flashlight, we press F. But we're not doing the event. Why is that happening? Let's do a test. We've ran that, but we're not draining the battery power. Oh no, we are. But we're not printing it. Why? Oh no, we are. Sorry. It was just being hidden. Every 5 seconds, yeah, we're draining the battery. Like that. 94. So what I'm going to do here, just to see, on event tick, I'm going to get the flashlight power, and I'm just going to print it, just to make sure that we're actually getting this. I'm going to use a key of 2, and I'm going to create the color like green like that, or yellow. So now we can see, so 0, we press 2, then press F. Let's see. No, it's not doing that. So why isn't it doing the updrip? Ah, of course. We actually have to call this. So update battery power. We're going to set battery power like this to the current battery power. So this is coming from the flashlight and it's going to the player. Now I press play and I turn the flashlight on and then do this. See? No, it's still not doing it. Why is it doing that? Maybe it's this get owner. Get parent, is it? I think it's get parent actor, not get owner. Sorry, let's try this again. Let's save to make sure. So we press 2 and then F. Let's see. There we go. Now we're getting it. So every time the flashlight updates, we're basically sending it to the player to tell the player that the flashlight power has changed. What we can do by default, we could do, because we're not saving this yet, we can just set it to 100. So if I try it now, yeah. So if I turn the flashlight on, then we will start the timer. We'll count down. 5 seconds might be a bit long to actually do it for the testing. So we will go to drain battery power here. No, it's in the event graph, and I'll lower this to a second. So we'll see it draining a lot quicker. So now if I bring it out and press F, there we go. Now we're draining a lot quicker. But if we press F, we're still draining the battery, which is something we don't want. So this battery drain event, we want to just get it here, battery drain event. And we can do clear and invalidate timer by handle. So now when the flashlight is no longer on, so F, we're draining, we turn the power, we stop. But let's do a test. So if we have this going and we remove it, okay, we're no longer draining, and we get it back, press F, it resets. So that's because we're sending this to the actual player, but we're not getting it back when we open it. So on begin play, what we can do is we can get the owner. So get parent actor, get parent actor like this, and we can query the parent actor, because we can say flashlight. Oh, we need a new interface here, so we can make another function and get battery power. This will be a lot easier when I set the inventory and everything up. And the output will be the battery power, and that can be a integer. Because I've set this like this, this on the return node, when I go into the player and do get battery power, it's now like this, and I can plug in the flashlight power like this. And then when I now reference it in here, flashlight power, what did I call it? Sorry, get battery power. Get battery power. We don't need, we can just get this like this and then say, okay, get battery power. We set the current battery power to that. And then now if we check, so if we press play and we get the power out, we use the light, we put the torch away and we get it out again and then turn it back on. Now we continue on where we left off. So I'll just comment this. So get battery level from player. Toggle flashlight and remove battery power. So the next thing will be, there's, depending how you want your flashlight to be, if you want it to regenerate over time, we can set that up. And I'll also show how you could simulate putting batteries in. There's also an extra bit upper at the end, which is how we can make the battery dim over time. So the lower the charge, the less brightness it'll be. Let's do the regenerating battery. Now that's not really that realistic, but if you want that type of system, if it's like a special battery or it's like solar or something. So in the function here, we can do regenerate battery. And a lot like the drain battery, it's basically the same, but we increase it. So what we'll do is we'll get the current battery power, and then we get another one. We get a get, we have a set, and we want the max battery power. This. We want to get the battery power, and then we want to plus. Now this is how much you want it to increase. So for me, I'm going to say 1 again. Or we can do it like this, and we can say battery increase amount. And that'll be a 1. Like the minus, we want to pull off and clamp it. We want to clamp it there. The minimum will be 0, and the maximum will be max battery power. Now we've set the current battery power. Let's check what we've done here. So we print it. We don't really need to do that for now. We can have it run from the player, and then we do the same thing. We update the battery power. So we get parent actor, and we can do update battery power. So we can slot that in, and then we can do a return. That will now update the player as well, and that will store the information of the battery, the actor. Sorry. Okay, so the next thing will be, how do we call this? So what we want to do is, once we turn the flashlight off here, then we will do the same. We will set timer by function name. Let's move these down slightly like this. The function name, we can do again, we can promote and say battery increase function. And compile, and then press F2 and regenerate, copy, and put it in here. This. We'll do the same for the battery drain time. I'll just type it in here. I'll just say 1. And it'll be looping. Promote to a variable. Battery increase event. And this. So now when we turn the battery off, the power off on the flashlight, it will start regenerating. So what then the next part will be, when we have turned the power back on, we want to get the battery increase event, and we want to clear and invalidate timer again. So we can put that in basically the same place like this. It's almost an exact copy of itself, just it does different functions. We can put that in here like so. I'm sorry I spend a lot of time making this neat. I just have like not an OCD or something. So now we can try this. Let's see. So we grab the thing, we turn it on. Right, we're draining, we turn that off, and we start regenerating the battery now. So now we're at 100. We turn it back on. We're lowering again. So if we turn it on and we remove it, we no longer are recharging, which is good. If we bring it back out, we're not charging it. When we use it and then turn it off, then we are doing it. So if you want it to be whenever the whenever the flashlight is brought out, then you start the function again. what we can do is event begin play. We can do a check just to make sure that the flashlight is turned off. Is it off? Then we can do a false and we can run that into here. This here. So then when the flashlight is no longer out, when it's like this, we put it away, we bring it back out, then we regenerate it again. There is one thing we can do here. We could do the here, which is when we're regenerating, once we hit the maximum, so once current battery power we'll do greater or equal just to be sure. Once the current battery power is equal or greater than the max battery power, so if that's false, we do that. If it's true, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the battery event increase and we're gonna clear and invalidate, just so we stop the timer, so we're not running it. So if I show here like this and I go to the flashlight here, so when I press F, get it out, press F. So we're running through the event. If I press that, once we hit max power, I basically want it to stop, and I don't want it to be doing this anymore because it doesn't need to do it, just ticking away for no reason. The same with the drain. I think the drain is fine. No, actually, the drain is the same, because currently, if we drain all our power away, nothing will happen. So what we can do here is just do a custom event, battery drained, like this. And we can just hook this up to here, like this. So it will run through this once we drain the battery completely. And then same for this. We don't. No, this will work fine then. This should stop. So if I do a test here, the battery drain, if I set this to 0.1, so we really, or 0.2, so we really quickly drain the battery. If I press F, so we're just draining the battery away like this. I probably should have made it lower, but this is a good test to see. So we've hit that, we're now at 0, but we're not turning it off because I haven't called battery drained, of course. Silly me. So drain battery power in here. We could pull off and say, we do a branch, and we can say this set, we can say less or equal, just to make sure we don't go minus somehow. Less or equal than 0. If it's false, we're going to drain the battery. If it's true, I'm going to pull off here and we're going to call battery drained. And then we call that and return. So now if I go back and we lower this even further, so we do 0.05, we try it. So battery out, we do it, we're draining. Once we hit 0, we turn off. And then we start recharging again. So if I press F now, yeah. So now we have the battery will cut itself off once it runs low power. So what we're going to do now is, if this is just what you want, no, we're missing one thing before I forget. We need a way to increase the power by other means. So for example, a battery pickup or something like that. So what now we're going to do is the increase in the battery power. So what we can do is we can we have this change batteries event here that I created. We can use this, and what we can do is we can just, when this is called, what we're actually going to do to make this even more modular is in BPI flashlight. When we call change batteries, we're going to add an input, and we're going to call the battery size. I'm going to call an integer on this. And the reason for this is once we increase it, say if you want different battery sizes, we don't want to create an event for each battery size or whatever. One event that will do everything. So event change batteries, what we're going to do is we're going to just get the current battery power. We're going to set the current battery power like this. We're going to clamp again. I'm going to clamp the current battery power. No, sorry, I've made a mistake here. Current battery power, we're going to plus. And the current battery power is going to be plussed by the battery size. So then we clamp. The maximum, again, is going to be the max battery power. Like this. This is it. Then we're going to print string, and I'm going to show you a trick you can do with print strings. There's a node called format text, and that can hook in here, and it'll convert it. And what you can do with this is you can say current battery increased by, and then if you use curly brackets, if I can find them, because I'm on a Finnish keyboard, you can use curly brackets and enter something in here. So I'm going to do size like this. And now you have this that's dropped. If I hook that up, what this will do is it will take that and add it here. So it will say battery increase by, and then the size. So we can try that here. So we have event change batteries. So in the player character, we can do we can get the child actor. We can get child actor again. So child actor, we could do increase battery, I think, change battery message. This. And we'll do this on keyboard B for now, for battery. We've pressed that, and we can increase the battery size. So we can say this battery is going to increase by, it's going to be a total, it's going to increase by 100. So if we play now, get the flashlight out, we're draining the battery, and then we press B, we increase the battery by 100%. So if you can see, battery increased by 100. If you then wanted the battery increased by just 10, you can just do this. Like this. So we can say that 5, B. No, why is that doing that? Why is it saying battery increase by... Oh, I've made a mistake here. We want that connected to the battery size here. There we go. So now if I run it and press B, now it's getting the correct value. So the next bonus thing is we're going to make it so that when the flashlight is below a certain value, then we're going to start lowering the intensity of the flashlight, just to add in a bit of like panic to the player. To do this, in the drain battery power, what we can add here is we can add a map ranged clamp. So it will change the value depending on the value here. So for here, it would be current battery power. The in range will be how much, when this value hits a certain number, what do you want the value to be? So max, we want 50 here. So 50% battery power. We want 0. The outrange will be the max intensity of your flashlight. So for me, it's 5,000. Once we've done this, grab the spotlight, set intensity, hook that up, like here, and then return value here. So if we try now, if we get the flashlight out and press F, so as the power hits 50, we start draining. It's a very, you can change the value here. So if we do 20, for example, let's see, if we do this, look, it only kicks in at 20. If you want it to go all the way through the flash power, so as the power is draining, the flashlight is constantly going to be getting dimmer. That's how you would do that here. So let's go over and check everything. So we've got create a child actor, finding the mesh, adding the mesh to the child, setting up the flashlight, using IES, equipping and de-equipping flashlight, and refilling the battery power in a few different ways. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. The next one that should be uploaded very soon after this one is an interaction system. So if you want just that, you can skip just to that part. Well, if you've watched this video to this point, then you'll probably watch the next. I do have a buy me a coffee if you want to support me. I think I might set up a Patreon at some point as well and share some project files there if you just want to skip the boring parts and just get like a framework pre-done. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any requests, just leave a comment and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.